My name is Ellie, welcome back to my channel, and we're layering up because it got cold. We were just having a really nice time. We were finally getting spring, things were sprouting, there were flowers, and it said, fuck you, we're gonna be cold again. So, closed up all the windows, actually wearing layers again. And we're just kind of continuing playing with random palettes in my collection based on what I want to use. And sleeping late, because it's like 3 in the afternoon. I set my alarm to get up, because I keep being like, I should be keeping a regular schedule. But I don't. If I have nothing to do and nowhere to be, like quarantine, I automatically start sleeping until like 1 in the afternoon. If I don't make myself get up, at least in the early afternoon, I will sleep all day, I will end up on an overnight schedule, and that was potentially my favorite sleep schedule, was back when I worked overnights, so I would go into work at 10 p.m., I would get off at 6 or 7, and I would go home and take a sleep, get up, normally I got up around 5 or 6 p.m., I was having a good time then. I loved being asleep all day. I did not miss the sunlight. As a pale bitch with light-sensitive eyes, everybody's like, oh, sunshine, it's so lovely. And I'm like, it's too fucking bright. Some of that could be that I always forget to bring sunglasses, but just in general, but it's like, oh, it's so... And like, no, it's too bright. It's too bright. This overcast gray sky stuff is my favorite. It does not make for the best lighting for videos, but it is my favorite amount of sun exposure. It's my favorite. So, if it would not make my partner extra depressed and miserable all the time, I would try to move somewhere like Washington State and just have overcast, rainy days most of the time. He requires sunlight. He's a tropical bird who needs sunlight and warmth. Whereas I like slightly cold temperatures and rain and overcast skies. Which is probably why at the Missouri Botanical Gardens, my favorite section is the Japanese rain garden, because it is best viewed in the rain. That's the whole point of those types of gardens, is to be enjoyed during rain and overcast days. I like it better than a bunch of other stuff. And I was just talking to my parents. We have a Nordic track downstairs, which if you don't know what that is, it's like kind of like a manual treadmill. They have these wooden skis that are on tracks. Nordic track. Probably Nordic because there's a lot of skiing in the Nordic countries, because, you know, the snow. But it makes your legs just kind of go forward and backwards on the skis. You can put in resistance, so you can like give yourself something to push against, and it's just a really nice, easy way to hang out. I used it a bunch in high school because I am a spiteful person, and I think it was my dad. My dad and my mom had made a comment about how you couldn't lose weight while watching TV, which they should have learned. My sister had already done a similar thing where they said, oh, you can't do blah, blah, and our immediate response is, oh, yes, we can. So I proceeded to watch hours and hours of TV while on the Nordic track and lost like 50 pounds, got in really good shape, just to prove a point and to watch a bunch of TV. Which I feel like that's gotten a lot easier now with everybody having smartphones. If you still have access to a gym or a treadmill, you know, any type of elliptical situation that doesn't require focus while doing it, you can just take your smartphone or a tablet and watch literally anything you want on a streaming service on your phone or tablet while on the treadmill or elliptical thing, and then you just go for as long as you can, and you get all of your junk TV in, you get to watch whatever you want, you get caught up on your shows, and you get in better shape. So, looping back around, we have a Nordic track. It's downstairs because we haven't used it in a really long time, so it's hidden in the basement. It kind of folds, so it doesn't have to stay up and open like a regular treadmill. This is what we're using today. This is the Tarte Make Believe in Yourself palette. We're going to be using Myth in the crease, and then I'm probably going to be making a 3-toned lid out of these blues and purples and popping the highlighter on the inner corner. Depending on what I have, we might do something with the lower lash line, but these are all light to middle tone shadows, so I don't expect to have a lot to do. Like, I really like this palette. I used it as one of my ways to get into color because they're all muted, chill colors. But it's if you wanted any depth, that is not the palette you get. And since this is such a easy middle tone, I'm not even going to place it like I've been doing with my other ones. I'm just going to put it on a fluffy brush and run it through the crease because I know that this is a light kind of sheer color. Anyway, so I was like, hey, since we haven't been having either the niece or nephew over, the back room where we keep a lot of the toys that they play with has been clear for a couple weeks due to quarantine, and we have a big TV back there that you don't normally get to use because there is often stuff out and about. And I was like, if I get that area set up with the TV and figure out how to use the system we have back there for my streaming programs, if we drag the Nordic track up from the basement, I could get in better shape again. And then not be, because the front room where we have the TV we normally use most days, it's not long enough for the Nordic track to sit and the tracks, because they kind of kick off the back as you're, doing your different strides. It's not a good fit for them. But if we put it in the back room, which is set up differently, I could do that. And I was talking to her, like, yeah, we should do that, and then, I can be back there and you guys can use the front TV, which I'm sure they want to use often while I'm also trying to watch stuff. We don't have the most overlapping taste. Other than my mom. My mom and I have both been watching Grey's Anatomy, so that's fine. But my dad does not like Grey's Anatomy, so that's not fine for him. Anyway, I was saying we could do that, and my justification was, well, it's going to get really hot, and I'm not going to want to go outside to exercise, which the Nordic track makes you sweat anyway, but I said that, and it promptly got very cold, because Mother Nature likes to fuck with you. Or at least me. Which is also not too bad currently because it is a nice temperature for going for walks and not getting super, nasty, sweaty hot. Because if you've ever been to the Midwest, or to Missouri, St. Louis area in general, we get so humid. So annoyingly humid. It's gross. Gross. Okay, so I think I have a plan. I got 3 brushes. I think we're going to start with this brush and the purple tone, which is called Fairy. And put that on the outer third. Yeah, that wasn't a great story, was it? It just kind of went in a not great circle about me and an exercise machine. But yeah, I'm hopeful that I will use my time at home to do something. Since I can't go places because we're on quarantine. Other than reading books and watching TV and YouTube and stuff, I do makeup. I cook, but I can't cook too much right now because there's nobody to, like, send my food off to. It's just 3 of us in the house. So I don't want us to gain too much weight by me just cooking an unreasonable amount and forcing us all to eat it. That sounds unpleasant. And I was liking going to the gym. Again, because I can sit on a treadmill or an elliptical of some type and just spend an hour watching TV while working out. It's very nice. I'm going to take medium fluffing brush for Dream, which Fairy ended up lighter than I was planning, so this might be a weird amount of colors. Like, it's very light reflective. This is a great palette, honestly. I know a bunch of us in the beauty community made fun of it for its name, the Make Believe in Yourself. But the shadows are nice. They've got a good formula. They're colorful without being, like, aggressively bright. It's a good introduction if you wanted to get into color, but you weren't, again, like I used it. It's a bit more approachable than some other ones. And since the shades are kind of light to medium at best and not very deep, having one transition color, if it works for your skin tone, makes more sense. There's no, like, oh, this doesn't make any sense because the dark whatever is super stark against the one matte you have for the crease. If it's, if you're pale and this works the transition shade for you, or if you're deeper and it works potentially as like a setting shade, it doesn't draw attention to the fact that maybe one shade is really stark against it. They're all pretty close in tone. It's not great that this is kind of like the one. It works mainly for light-skinned people. I really wish, if they're gonna make looks like this, I'm going in with the flat packing brush and Mystic now on that inner third. I wish if they were gonna make shades that are, or palettes with color stories that are so, like, this is light to medium at best, they would make a couple different depth range, because then, well, technically it's kind of what Huda did with her nudes, in that she had several depth varieties. And I like that because, yeah, these light pastel nudes work on my skin tone because I'm a corpse, but they're not going to work at the same way, or even honestly, potentially at all, on medium to deep. If you have deep skin and you don't like a really frosty, light, aggressive lid, these are highlights. These are inner corner pops. These are small placement highlights. These are not, for most people, a full look. But if they had brought this out and had, the light, very pastel section, they'd had a more medium toned section, and then also like a really deep, reflective, but jewel toned, cool section. Not like cool tone, just like cool. Of these really like pigmented, deep shimmer shades. That would have been really cool. And then if you did want to pair them together, you could get multiple, or you could say, I'm just going to get the one that is, the medium tone for my skin type. It could have been so much better. But yeah, coming out with colors that are different shade depths in different palettes so that you have options for more than just one skin tone. I think that would have been cool. I think that would have been a lot more interesting and inclusive, and this really, like, it's pretty, but I don't think it did anything about, like, the color impact I was expecting it to have. We'll work on it. I'm gonna try and put fairy on the lower lash line as well. Where's my smudgy brush? I already used my smudgy brush. We'll just take the side of it, like I did with the other one. It'll be fine. Because this does not, like, add depth or if you had deeper skin, this is not going to do anything really other than be frosty and way too light. You'd have to pair it with other stuff. So I wish they'd taken this thing and run further with it. It didn't do much. Don't know what I was expecting. We'll blend out the edges. Keep going with my not very colorful pastel look. I'm going to take fluffy brush. We're going to go into that middle shade that I still don't remember what the name of the highlighter is, but we're going into it. We'll put that on my inner corner. Kind of a peachy pink highlight. In order to see that reflective, but you really kind of do have to build it up. Okay, that is my very light, borderline nude, colorful eye look. Okay, let's do the rest of my face and hope that it, like, comes together. I don't hate it, it's just, it's the type of just one or two shade, no defining crease or, like, outer corner shading. Is just missing so many things I normally have in an eye look without having something very super reflective. Well, it is reflective and metallic, but it's not like textured or anything like a glitter. This could use a glitter. So, bronzer. I do think that being at home and having a lot of stuff is doing good things for the stuff that I'm panning. I thought about starting to do like 2 looks a day. One of like my panning stuff and one of like fun stuff, but then I'd have to take my makeup off without getting my hair wet, because I don't have any good way of dealing with washing my face and not getting it in my hair. I don't know how people like clean the edge without getting it in their hair, or deal with the fact that it might just, in order to not get in your hair, you have to leave the edge of your face like dirty, she said while pulling her hair out of its containment. Yeah, and the cleanser I use to take my makeup off is like a cleansing oil type thing, so it's not, and since my hair has no texture or volume, once it's like been wet at the edges and not like all the way wet all the way through, and I got to style it, you know, by styling I mean putting leave-in conditioners in and brushing it. No, I actually don't even really brush it, do I? I part it with my fingers, and then I kind of like finger comb it to the sides. Because my hair has no texture. It doesn't really knot because it's all straight. But if I were to wash my face, the edges would get wet, they would sit too far down, they would get rid of the tiny bit of volume that my hair has right after being washed. And it would kind of ruin the second look doing anything that I would want it to do. But I'm also not committed enough to like do my makeup in the morning, then wash it off, take a shower like I normally do, maybe mid-morning, and then do a second look. But also, if I don't, a lot of my panning makeup I picked with the assumption I was going to be wearing it to work. So like, my Franken shadows, these are good going to work shades. Even though I wasn't sure I was going to have a restriction on my appearance when I made them, so I made them more conservative. And since I don't have to wear conservative shades right now, and I have so much makeup to cycle through, I'm not very drawn to them. They were kind of in place so that I would have a quick, easy, I know I pair these 3 or 4 shades together or do a 1 or 2 toned look. They were meant to be quick and easy and kind of boring but thoughtless makeup. Hence like this blush and bronzer. I put them on pretty much every time I'm doing my makeup. I don't think about it, I just put it on. It works with most looks. I don't have to plan that part of my face. I had that planned for eyeshadow, and now I'm doing a bunch of other stuff. Let me get, where's my little... But since I have so many options, I'm not really drawn towards my panning makeup. I'm picking up things and being like, oh, this would be pretty cool to pan. Despite the fact that I'm already panning other stuff. Like every time I pull in neutrals or I pull up a eyeshadow palette that I'm like, oh, this would be really nice to make a bunch of, you know, similar but slightly different looks, and I think this is the type of makeup I could wear to the office and feel pretty and enjoy using for a long time. Which luckily, most of my makeup is like that. It's not stuff where I'm like, oh, I can only make one look and then I'm bored with it. It's the kind of thing where I'm like, I could make this look, wear it for a week, make this look, wear it for a week. You know, I have a lot of things that I would enjoy doing with the different makeup in my collection. But I'm not panning eyeshadows directly right now, other than like my base shade and the shimmery one that I put on the brow bone. I might do a this is my Franken makeup face. You guys have seen my blush and my Franken highlighter. But you haven't seen me do a look with like my Franken shades other than the base shade that I made. So maybe we'll do that. LS put up a video yesterday or the day before talking about her process for making Franken shadows. But she was making Frankenshadows in palettes that still had other stuff. So she was, the one she showed us was shade she'd put in her, whatchamacallit, her Modern Renaissance. And that makes a bit more sense to me than what I did. I took a palette that I already pretty much panned and tried to make a new palette as opposed to like coming in here, finishing off this one and putting like a shimmer shade there, and then finishing off this one and putting a different shade there to accentuate what's still in the palette. I think that next time I have the option for Frankenstuff might be a better strategy. Because there are, like, it's fun to make Franken makeup, but I also have so many pre-made palettes that are good palettes. I'm kind of enjoying using my pre-made stuff and seeing how those colors speak to me. But I go through phases, so who knows when the next phase will be. I want to do only singles. I want to do this specific color combination, and I'm gonna rip my collection apart to find that specific color combination. Okay, we're gonna use brow pencil to put a little bit more on the tip. Just kind of clean up that edge line. And then just keep drawing in because we have the too much gene. Oh, so in Missouri, the governor finally showed up. Previously, the stay-in-place orders for my area had been specific to the county and had not been put in place by the fucking governor. And some of that is on me. Parsons annoys the shit out of me, so I don't look for him. I don't always keep track of what he's up to because normally I hear about it and I'm like, God damn it, fuck you, Parsons. So, but yeah, I hadn't really heard anything that he was doing about the COVID-19 outbreak. Turns out it's because he wasn't really doing shit. Lovely. But he finally did show up and put in a statewide stay-at-home order, which is through, like, pretty much the end of April. Which means I will likely not be back to work. I will be furloughed most likely for that entire time. There are places where you could, I'm gonna go with Blue Moon just because I really want to finish that bitch. Technically, my company could be listed as essential because we are healthcare. It's vision stuff, and there are some offices that are still seeing emergent cases, so cases where if something's not done pretty soon, the person's gonna lose their vision. So those cases are still being seen, but that's not the majority of our services. A lot of our services are routine vision checks and or like cataract surgery and LASIK surgery. So we are healthcare, but a lot of our services are non-essential services. And since people aren't supposed to be going out for non-essential stuff, people aren't coming into the offices for their normal procedures, the day-to-day stuff we were doing. So we are healthcare, but there's not as many people coming into the office for services for us to bill to justify. Like, that's where most of the money is made, by billing the insurances for the services our healthcare providers provide. What? feels like the right amount of face wet. So, until people start going back to doing their day-to-day routine stuff, it's unlikely that I will be back at work billing those day-to-day routine things. Which does make it really, really tempting to just like shave my head. Still trying not to do that. I worked real hard to grow out my boring natural hair color, dirty blonde. And I'm trying to keep it so that it will be unprocessed so I can perm my hair when the world goes back to normal. But I could shave it. I could dye it fun colors. Technically, I could probably dye it fun colors and still go to work because my boss's boss has purple hair. There are people around us who work in like the front office and have teal and blue highlights and stuff. Like it's a pretty open workplace. And I just really, depending on how crazy I go with cabin fever and the need to do things, we might order some dye, because I still have bleach. I still have bleach from when I used to bleach my hair. I got most of the stuff to mix that together. But the thing that's really been tempting me has been like bleaching out some highlights and then tinting those like peach and salmon. That sounds so nice for spring. But I am aware of how long it takes to grow that stuff out now, aka literal years. So I'm trying not to. I had a plan, I had a goal. I'm not fully let's try and perm my hair at home just because I don't want to do that. I'm worried that I would make that super bad. I have bleached my own hair. I haven't put in highlights though, so that could be really bad. Since I was lazy about getting my hair cut before and now cannot get to a salon, I do think I'm finally growing out my undercut. I had a back section of my head shaved, which I loved, but I was never very good at maintaining it and keeping it trimmed and shaved properly. I would just kind of let it grow out kind of stupid. Have a week or two after a haircut of it looking awesome. Because it made, like, when I put my hair up in a ponytail and the undercut was recently shaved, it looked real cool. I liked it. And I liked having designs shaved into it, but those don't last very long. If you have an undercut, you would need that shaved, honestly, every couple of weeks, depending on the look that you want. Whereas trying to grow out your hair, you only want that cut every, like, 4 to 6 weeks, and honestly, I went longer in between cuts. And so we're growing it out because I'm not getting my hair cut, and I might as well take the time to grow out the section of my hair that is not the length of the other sections. So by the time that I get to go and get my hair cut professionally again, we might just do like a chin length bob. And that would cut out the last little bleach bits that are still on the top layer, and would, by then, probably get my hair all so that my undercut isn't a oh no, what did I do there? It would stop my undercut from being, let me see what we can do. like, oh, that rolled all over. Length of my regular hair. Length of my undercut. They would, by the time, you know, I get that done, I could get it chin length, and my undercut would be the length of my regular hair. I did love that. Like, it wasn't a great idea for me because I have thin hair without a lot of volume, and shaving a section of it takes away some of that volume, but it was fun. I had that for like 3 or 4 years. It was a really fun thing to do. I like it. And if I would ever be an adult who maintains her hairstyle, or had more volume in my hair, okay, we're gonna stop messing with the lashes. See, they're adding some of that kind of defining shape to my eye that I normally get to do with deepening the outer corner. Yeah, so I wish I had the energy and effort to maintain that undercut. It was one of those really fun things. We'll put it on a really boring lip too. We'll do that Bare Minerals Honesty shade that I don't like. But matches. Matches the soft delicateness. It just has so little coverage. Like, that's not a good swipe. I shouldn't have to run over it that many times to make the lip color exist. That's not good. That's not good. Does anybody else hate pan items? Luckily it's a mini. It is a really, it's soft enough that when I put it on my lips, it digs itself into its tube. So, yeah. We're not even going to hate pan this. We're just going to throw it in the trash. If you weren't wearing like foundation that was overlapping your lip lines, if you just wanted a soft wash of color to like define your lips on a day you weren't wearing much coverage, it could be alright, but it is not what I want in lipsticks. If I'm putting on a lipstick, I want more. I want more. But yeah, so I have straight hair, no texture, no volume, tiny little bit of bleach left, but grown out the natural color, and eventually we will have hair that has no fun bits anymore. No fun colors. No shaved section. But then it'll be permed. Thank you for hanging out and listening to me rant about my hair troubles and getting an overly detailed description of a Nordic track. And getting a nice little quick fun. It is better with mascara. It's a nice little trio of colors that don't really look like a trio of colors, but I like this palette. I just wish it had more depth. I think this is a pop palette. This is I will pair this with something else. I really do need that thing that I wanted that I always talked about and never got, which is like an Urban Decay Naked palette, but jewel tones between like deep mattes and deep shimmers. I need that to go with something like this. Maybe that's the next thing I'm gonna do. Maybe the next thing I'm gonna do is sister palettes, which I talked about doing and never did. We'll do that next. We'll do sister palettes. So looks with sister palettes. That is the goal. I will see you guys next time. Thank you for hanging out. Hopefully everybody's staying safe and minimally cabin fevery. If you're doing fun stuff with your hair, let me know. I'm very jealous. I want to be doing fun stuff with my hair. But if I start now, it's going to turn 5 different colors over the next 2 weeks. And then I'm going to be sad for a year and a half while I grow it out. I will see you guys next time.